One, two, three, pick it up, go!
Mankind must put an end to war. A war will put an end to mankind.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Well, I'm not drunk. I earned everything I got.
Change will not come if we wait for some other person.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Blind Partisan. I'm Jacob, the only host of this show, and I'm joined by a guest today. Just a guest. His name is Elliot. I'm sorry. Elliot is here to talk about. What are you here to?
Well, I think we're going to talk about the Trump things related to timely Trump things. I think is how you were kind of describing it to me.
I mean, to be honest, you can kind of just like call every episode.
No, I mean, because we discussed the other candidates for a while, but I mean, in particular, we wanted to talk about the parade that's going to happen, and by the time everybody hears this, will have happened.
Yeah, so we're recording this on the 3rd.
Yep.
So we're the day before the parades, and we're you can almost consider this for you guys an after 4th of July special.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about Trump and how that can relate to the military currently, the parade, and maybe a little bit about current foreign policy events.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with that parade, I guess.
So tanks.
Yeah. Is there a confirmation we're actually getting tanks?
They're the tanks. They showed it. The what is it like what's the trailer?
Yeah.
I don't know, some kind of trailer pulling the tanks into town in DC. So like there are tanks. They're there.
So it's a full-on military parade.
Well, it's a parade, so there's also going to be that giant baby Trump balloon.
Yes, I did hear that. It's funny because Trump cannot escape that thing. I don't know if he's ever physically been near enough it to see it. If it's just been around where he's been. For a man who talks a lot, I don't think he's commented very much on that.
I think that's smart, though, right?
Maybe.
Isn't no comment better than any comment?
Yeah,
on
but
that
it's
kind of thing?
unusual for him.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay, so we've known just one of those things you have to learn about Donald Trump, the quirks and idiosyncrasies you learn with him as president. He loves going inside trucks. He loves serving fast food at the White House, and he loves military parades. The big one was during one of his state visits, he went to France, and Macron had a military parade, and like Trump, you could just tell, was enamored by it and wanted one desperately.
Yeah,
and now he's getting it.
Okay, so, and I know that people like you and me, we see the idea of America differently at times, but doesn't a Washington D.C. parade in general, but also just a military parade, doesn't that just seem anti-American?
It does rub me the wrong way, and for a couple of reasons. And I don't know if it's anti-American. I mean, showing off our military is kind of very American, but specifically a parade in our capital to show off our military strength does send a weird message. Because we like to show off our military. We do. But usually it's pointed at other people, right? But some people could interpret this as because of location, I guess, or the current cabinet, the current president, the current government's leans in some ways towards authoritarianism as a threat.
Well, even beyond that, so I was watching this documentary about the 2016 election. I forgot what it's called. And might even get the guy's name wrong. Dinesh D'Souza. It was about the history of the Democratic Party and about Hillary Clinton. It was kind of anti-Democratic Party, anti-Hillary Clinton. You would have hated it, but one part that stuck out that I think
I'm not a big fan of either of those.
No, I know, but I mean, it was really down on the Democratic Party.
So it was pretty biased. It
was true.
Yeah,
there were facts, there were a lot of truth, but it was biased.
It had a point.
Yeah. It had a point. Yeah.
To be fair, most documentaries do.
Yeah. But one thing that stuck out at me that wasn't really fact based, but an opinion that I agree with was that that America, you can't just apply for citizenship and become a Mexican. You can't apply for citizenship and become Chinese because you're just not Chinese. I'm not Chinese. I'm not Mexican. Anybody can be an American.
It's not a one and done thing. There is a process.
No, but there is not an ethnicity to American.
That is true. Yeah.
And I even hate when we divide it up and say African American, Asian American. No, there's just one. Just American.
Okay.
And so this military thing, this authoritarian thing, this oneness, that's not what we are. We get to go our own way, all of us. There is not a focal point. Having too much presidential power drives me batty.
And part of it is probably just how uncommon this is for us. Some countries are used to military parades. We don't really do that.
But we are just completely different from all other countries because we don't have that ethnic sameness that other countries have.
Yeah, and we've got this there's always been this traditional argument that American patriotism is not the same as nationalism.
Right.
And to be blunt about it, I don't think that's necessarily true anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I think
that's a sad thing.
I do think that was true at one point.
Yeah. And it's true with me. I think it's true with you.
Yeah. I don't think that's true anymore. When we see people getting mad at people protesting these traditional patriotic things like the anthem or, there was a big thing with the kneeling during the anthem, right? That wasn't because it was the anthem. It was because they disagreed with those people. If that had never happened with the kneeling during the national anthem, and instead it was some guy who decided some football player decides I want to kneel during the anthem to protest against abortions.
Right.
They would have been gung-ho for that. That's not patriotism you're defending. That's nationalism you're defending. You're not defending the honor of the American anthem and the troops. You're defending your opinions. And that's just one example.
Right.
And I feel like that's gotten so much worse in this country. Yeah. I think the general distinction for me between that old school American patriotism and that nationalism, and there have been times where it blurred before. I think especially the 50s with the Red Scare. Mm-hmm. The difference was you can be a patriot no matter your beliefs as long as you love America. Whereas nationalism is get behind us or get out.
Well, I think it's about loving the idea of America
mm-hmm.
versus loving the institution of America.
Yeah.
Right? I love the Constitution. I don't love the organizations that the institution created. I don't love Congress. I love the idea of Congress. I don't love the presidency. I love the idea of the presidency. I love the Bill of Rights. I don't love the way that the Congress and the presidency have trampled on the Bill of Rights.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the American public has gotten, in general, more cynical over the years? or more, I guess.
I think it flows, and I mean this is what I'm really getting at. Like the American public isn't one thing. We're not really even just two things. We're not Republicans and Democrats, and I think we're seeing that more and more now. But so like if you lump us all together, are we becoming more cynical? Maybe because our voices aren't. Our voices are. We have some platforms for being heard.
Like I can't count the number of times in my life I've heard the phrase or similar wording that America's the greatest country on earth, right? And I feel like for a long time you could not argue against that, or even just why would you, right?
Because by any metric it was true.
Yeah, but now. Yeah. I think a good chunk of people, I don't know if it's the majority or not, would argue no. And it's not just like, well, no, there are other countries that are just fine. Me personally, I'd argue in its current state, America's not even close.
Well, so there's like the freedom index, right?
Yeah.
So we're not first.
No, I don't even think we're in the top 10.
I don't think we're in the top 10.
No.
So, that's something that we need to work on regaining.
And it's not just freedom,
that's the most important thing.
It's important to our values. It's our, big thing.
The most important.
But, every metric I feel we've either backslid or, other countries.
But freedom is what leads to all of the other metrics. So freedom is what allowed us to prosper. Freedom is what allowed us to have the best medical system on earth. And then we took away freedom and it backslid. Freedom is what allowed us to have the best universities on earth. But then,
and I think that's part of it. I think that's part of why it's rubbing people the wrong way is, when I think the U.S. holding a military parade, I'm thinking, victory in Europe, World War II, the troops coming home.
Yeah.
These peaks, these true American greatness.
Yeah.
But when a lot of Americans would argue that we are in a dark time for America.
Yeah.
Celebrating it, and especially as a military thing, is a bad idea.
Well, to kind of segue into the other topic that we wanted to hit, the North Korea visitation.
Mm-hmm.
If we actually had some sort of agreement or treaty or something that was accomplished with Iran or with North Korea, and we were celebrating that, hell yeah.
Right.
We could have a parade. But you don't get to just throw a party, an expensive party, for no reason. Like, you don't get to do that.
What's the reason for it? That's a great point. Why are we doing that? And like if you boil it down,
if you're a business, this guy's supposed to be a businessman, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a business, and we did this, if you're a business and you're throwing a party for your business, why do you do it? Well, you use it to celebrate milestones, like an anniversary, which, okay, the 4th of July is an anniversary. This isn't a major anniversary, though. And like you mentioned, it's like, well, we're kind of not in a really good place necessarily, right?
Right. It's like if you're Volkswagen in 2013 during the emissions scandal.
You don't throw a parade, you don't throw a party, and the other thing would be like any kind of accomplishment, right? Like if you are you're voted number one country, number one business, or you have a big accomplishment. We've done none of these things.
No.
No, I shouldn't say that. The stock market's doing really well.
Yeah, but I hate using that as a metric of American success. I really do. Like, I understand it saying, well, yeah, our economy's doing well, sure, but is the average person seeing tons of benefits from that?
I mean,
or is it
ultimately they do. Ultimately they do. In some fashion, they do.
But also, we've had a time period before in American history, where the stock market was all important, and it's called the 1930s.
And the 80s.
And 2008.
2000s. Yeah. I mean, so you can't, I wouldn't put my life savings into the stock market.
No.
Especially now, because the baby boomers are pulling, I mean, this is known economics, right? They're going to be pulling money out because they're retiring.
It's...
Yeah.
we should do an entire episode on the changes in America because of baby boomers right now.
You know what? Before we do that, though, we have to check our demographics to see how many of our viewers and listeners will lose, because I think we will anger the baby boomers, because there's a lot they need to be held accountable for. And none of them are speaking up for their grandchildren and their great grandchildren.
If you guys want to hear us do an episode on that, that would be a great idea. And let us know, especially since I think we could have a unique take on that. You being from Gen X, me being a millennial,
and I'd love to have a baby boomer come in here and justify it.
Yeah. Give us the whole, we didn't start the fire, Yeah. But okay, back to, let's talk about that. When I think of the 4th of July, I think military. It's a celebration of independence, but that independence for us, America is one of the countries that gained independence through fire. We gained it through war.
Yeah.
But
the irony, here's I guess where, like, I circle back to that stupid parade. I'm like, but we were fighting against a central authoritarian regime. Like, having a Washington D.C. parade for the 4th of July just seems so anti-American.
That seems like something the British would do.
It just seems like that's what we fought against. Like, having us send our tax dollars to this faraway land so that they can have party, like, that's just, why are we doing that?
I feel part of it is...
I talked to a guy this morning on a call.
Yeah.
He lives in D.C., and I didn't know he was in D.C., but he's like, yeah, I live in the D.C. area, and I'm leaving town for the weekend. Nothing against the parade, but I don't want to be around for any of that.
American independence is tied to war for me, and I think for everyone, because traditionally, war has been a good thing for this country. It created this country. We gained tons of territory from the Spanish-American War. We also gained. We were the saviors in World War I. We kicked the. Oh no! If I say this word, we're gonna get demonetized. We destroyed the Nazis in World War II.
You can't say Nazi.
Sometimes.
No.
I know.
Welcome to America, guys. Welcome to America.
But that's it for, like, wars that ended up really well for us. Korea was a stalemate.
Yeah.
Vietnam, we lost.
Well, it wasn't a stalemate. It just took a while. Yeah. Now Trump is fixing it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's right. The war never ended.
Right.
Vietnam, we lost, which anyone who argues we had a stalemate in Vietnam is wrong.
Right, we lost.
We lost.
Yep.
That's that old school, America's the best country in the world talking.
We left.
Because we were losing.
Yep.
If anything, it was us cutting our losses.
Which we should have done, like, if we're going to intervene in these foreign lands, which I don't know why we do. And this is why people get cynical, to your earlier point, the Afghanistan, Iraq, like
the Gulf,
trillions of dollars. What on earth could we be spending all that money on that could possibly be worth it?
And what's worse with those,
that's not the loss of life, and the loss of life pales in comparison to the, like, injuries, like people like being injured and traumatized for life.
Yeah,
like what we've done to our veterans is unthinkable.
And we don't treat them right after they get home.
No.
And part of it is also, long term, these wars were a bad thing. It wasn't, we cleared everything out in Iraq and it was hunky dory after the fact. There were huge ramifications and consequences after the fact. So I feel like in general, America's never been more jaded towards war, which is crazy because we're still in wars right now.
Yeah, Afghanistan and Iraq are troubling, and the fact that something's going to happen with Iran.
Yeah,
well, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. We all know it. Something will happen.
Are we officially still at war in both Iraq and Afghanistan?
Well, we were officially, I don't think, ever at war.
Right. No, we have the war on terror, aka blank check to do whatever you want.
Right.
But let's wrap it all up into the war on terror. Okay?
Yeah.
I was born in 1996.
Right.
This real war on terror started in 2003. Okay?
Yeah.
It is 2019.
Well, I mean, the war on terror really started in
2001, but we didn't really start going until 2003, right?
Okay.
You'd agree?
No, I don't know.
No? Okay. All right, fine. We'll back
My
up.
recollection is that that was the whole point. We started right away.
Okay. So, all right, we'll move it back to 2001 for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I was 4 or 5 when that started. That means this never-ending war has been going on my entire life.
Right. I give you a lot of I give you a hard time a lot. I forget how young you are. So props to you on that.
I was when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, I forget that you're that young. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Actually, this is totally going off the track, but I think about this a lot because of where I am in this, and that's the difference between millennials and Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that there have been tons of different dates pushed around, anywhere from like 95 to 2002-ish, but it really comes down to 9/11.
Oh,
it's the fundamental turning point. Do you physically, with yourself, remember that day?
Mm-hmm.
If you do, you're a millennial. Well, or older, But
right.
If you don't, you're Gen Z. I have several siblings who were born after me.
Right.
All born after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And they fundamentally see the world differently than I do.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And we had this big boost in patriotism / nationalism after the fact.
Right.
And look at how that went.
Well,
it did not work out super well in the long run. We spent trillions of dollars. We lost tons of great people's lives.
Yeah.
For what? To create ISIS?
Yeah. I mean, I struggle with that because I don't know. It's hard to unravel that. Like, how much of that is our fault? How much of that is their fault?
Yeah.
But I think it's unarguable that we didn't make it better.
No. So I feel we are more jaded towards those things. The same things that would make you proud for previous generations. Standing up every day for the national anthem in school, going and celebrating and waving flags. Those things have a fundamental different tone to them. Right. And then you have Trump.
Right.
So the biggest problem with this is, if we had that great success, right? Like right now, let's say Trump did it. He signed a deal with North Korea that worked. It was amazing. He basically did the impossible. Sure, give him his parade. He likes them, right? If that's how he wants to celebrate, let him celebrate that way. But
what does success in North Korea look like?
I don't know, honestly.
Because the North Koreans and the South Koreans, don't you think that, including Kim Jong-un, don't you think they want unification?
The North Koreans want unification under themselves,
but
the South Koreans want it under them.
But don't you think we could say, all right, Un, don't you think we could say, hey, we'll give you, we'll let you go live in part of Guantanamo Bay, and we'll build you a big, mansion there, and we don't have to tell anybody. We'll keep it top secret. We'll fly you over there. You're out, and then we'll just we'll help with the reunification.
I don't know.
How do we get from here to there? You know what I mean?
Part of it is. That's a good point.
Because he needs to save face somehow.
He needs to save.
So how does that happen?
Part of it is, he himself is trapped. in this regime. You're right. I see what you're trying to say. You're trying to give him that out. But remember, he's the third generation dictator. He grew up in that climate. We don't know his own internal thoughts.
But yet he sort of didn't, because he's gone to school outside of North Korea.
But he sat through that propaganda just as much as the common person.
So you think he's incapable of doing it?
I don't know. I'm saying there's too much uncertainty. But also, part of the North Korea problem is China. China does not want North Korea to go away. China, I guarantee, if China was not a factor in any of this, the North Korean regime would have been gone years ago. China does not want one of the closest allies to the United States, South Korea, to have a border with China. They also don't want hundreds of thousands of North Korean refugees on their border. I don't know, but it's a complex thing. But
yeah, I think we got to get with the Chinese and the South Koreans and fix it. I think we got to fix it. We got to say, look, this place is a disaster. These people they're starving. They're brainwashed. Like, we don't love the way you treat your own citizens, China, but you're better than them.
Are they?
Yeah.
China has literal concentration camps that are there to commit mass genocide.
They're still better than North Korea. They are.
Is one atrocity inherently worse than?
I mean, it's not if you're the one in the concentration camp. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
But if you run the numbers, the percentages, and by any objective measure, they're better. Like, you gotta, I mean.
I don't know if I was I gotta pronounce the word Uyghur Muslim.
I know you're gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we, we're gonna have to talk about that the Hong Kong situation one of these days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But not today. So
and then we had our near war with Iran that already almost
still might happen.
Still might happen.
Yeah.
And there's no way that's not a bad idea.
No, that's worse.
It's
they're a bigger, more prosperous country than Iraq,
and they're harder to travel through. Mm-hmm. They've got mountains, so it's like taking Iraq, doubling, tripling its military, and then using the terrain of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah,
but also, there's a time where we have to look and say, are we the bad guys?
I think we became the bad guys quite a long time ago.
Yes. And looking at this specific situation, we are the bad guys. We had a deal with them. We broke it. We've been the ones who have been aggressive. We're making up stupid reasons to try and bomb them. We're going to bomb them over a drone that they warned us they were going to shoot down because they were uncomfortable. Imagine the reaction from Fox News if Iran had drones off the East Coast.
I know. But we don't see things that way. And I don't know why. I don't know why the typical American is okay with that. I don't know why the typical American is like, yeah, they shot down our multi-million-dollar drone. Well, why did we have a drone there?
Part of it, I guess, is it's so easy to dehumanize. It's so easy to say they're a bunch of radical Muslims, get them.
Yeah, except I don't think most of the country is radical there. I think there's certainly the leaders are radical.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And the worst part is we were making great steps towards normalizing things with them. The regime there in Iran was starting to have really bad problems with the younger generations liking America. And then we ripped up our agreement with them and started putting sanctions and making the young people's lives worse. What are they going to do?
Yeah. So to wrap things up, what do you think Trump can do? Do you think Trump will do anything, over the next... Well, do you think he'll do anything in 2019 with North Korea? First of all,
I think North Korea is one of the few situations Trump really enjoys working on, whatever you define that as.
Do you think he'll have any substantive success there?
I think he'll have personal success there, but not long-term success for our...
So he'll go have cheeseburgers with
Yes.
Kim Jong-un. Okay.
And smoothie up with another dictator.
But you don't think that will be a success that will translate into...
And normalize violence here because of it. Did you see Tucker Carlson?
No.
He was talking about how Kim Jong-un's not that bad. He's not that bad. He's not that bad. Naturally,
literally the worst guy on the planet.
Yeah, they keep going with this. Inherently running a country means killing people. That's a direct quote from
literally the worst guy on the planet.
Yes.
He's not that bad. Oh my God.
Not that bad. And normalizing, hey, it's okay for a government to purge its enemies.
So do you think that he'll have some perceived success that will translate into election success next year? Not that he'll even win, but that he'll...
All right, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
North Korea, I think I could see that. Him using North Korea as a positive selling point for his own campaign. Mm-hmm. Iran, no.
So you think those will cancel each other out?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, I think he's already done massive damage to himself with Iran with his own campaign because there's no way he ends up looking good about this.
I think most Americans don't care.
I think
they, unless we invade and it goes badly, I don't think they care.
I think the memory of Iraq is still too strong.
But if we don't invade, I think they don't care. Because even me personally, I'm like, I don't know how much, I
don't know.
We saber rattle a little bit. We have some sanctions. Okay, fine. Whatever.
All right, let's talk about just tomorrow or, the past for whenever you're watching this.
Yeah.
How does Trump mess up the military parade?
How does he mess it up?
He's going to be speaking during it.
Oh, God. I didn't know that.
He's single-handedly turned it about himself.
So he will, so he will make it about himself. I think that's the first mistake.
Also, it's really bad because they're using it as a tool to gain donations. Like they've given a bunch of free tickets and whatnot to big Republican donors and stuff. And that really rubs me the wrong way.
So so there's another way that it's wrong. I also think that he risks alienating veterans with this by just making it a spectacle
and making it more about himself.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely true. I think I'm worried because I can see a right way to do it, like a right way to stand up there at that podium at this event you forced to exist that a large part of the country doesn't like. I can see a way to make that a positive thing.
Sure. Right? Parade up a bunch of injured veterans.
Yeah.
And make it about them.
Or talk about actual unity. Not forced unity, real unity.
Yeah. Talk about how we can come together with the GI Bill to save education.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll focus too much on himself.
Yeah.
But the scariest thing for me is him talking about his enemies. If he goes up there, fake news, blah, blah, blah.
That's a really good call.
Democrats, blah, blah, blah. Standing in front of a military...
If he mentions we're Democrats, he failed.
Yeah.
He mentions we're Democrats, he failed.
Yep.
You are absolutely right, because that's not presidential.
It's not presidential.
It's bad enough that he says it during the State of the Union, but this is absolutely uncalled for.
There's no way you can look more authoritarian, power-grabby dictator than that.
Yeah, that's an excellent call. The more he makes this feel like one of his campaign stops, one of his rallies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the more it is like a rally and the less it's like a solemn, respectful.
Weirdly enough, I feel the biggest problem here is Trump making it about himself. Like, I think the best way he could have done this is say, I want the military campaign, but I'm not going to speak. I'm going to send Pence instead. I think that would have been handled a lot better. Still not great.
Yeah, but then I think he would have risked having no coverage.
Yeah.
And then that would have been viewed as a failure.
All right.
He pushed for this parade and then nobody watched it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's almost like doomed to failure no matter what he does.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it's covered by his state media, though.
His state media?
Yeah.
Whatever do you mean by that?
Oh, I don't know. They're openly admitting now that they would criticize Obama for things that they'd compliment him on.
I know.
There are some times where I look at MSNBC, I look at these bubbles, and I wonder, is the bubble of the far left the same as the far right? And there are occasional moments like that that I say, that I kind of snap out of that mentality and say, no, there's something fundamentally wrong there.
That's a debate for another day.
Okay, but real quick, my last point on that is if during the Obama administration, MSNBC had laughed and joked and said, yeah, Obama's doing this thing and we're going to support him no matter what, but if John McCain had done it, we would have burned him on a stake. That would have made me question supporting them.
Did they say that?
No, but Fox News did 2 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's kind of unforgivable.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, let's.
Wow. Way to end it.
Yeah,
way to end it on a bummer.
Dude. Hope you guys enjoyed your 4th of July. Seriously. Hope it was a good time. Had some drinks, a barbecue, some fireworks, something like that. And you didn't waste your day watching coverage of this.
Yeah. So please, if you did like what we had to do here, it wasn't too terribly self-indulgent and boring. Please hit the subscribe button, the little bell. Please invite your friends to listen. Please send a few dollars on the Patreon, patreon.com/newsmakers, and please share with your friends. Anybody, any way that we can sort of spread the word about political engagement, especially with young people, I want to try to do. And we're going to try to have some more guests on. So please send some guest ideas my way. So that's really all I have. Please, you can feel free to drop those into the Facebook group. So there's the Blind Partisan Facebook group on Facebook. So check that out. That's all I got. Thanks.
All right.